Hello and welcome to Jill Cameron Creations. Thanks for joining me. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Today we're doing some Copic coloring. Before we get started with our Copic coloring, I wanted to show you really quick how I actually put this card scene together. I use Silhouette Studio just because it's easy for me to toggle between things and move back and forth all the different images. However, I'm also going to show you two alternate methods. And the reason I'm showing you Silhouette Studio and how I do it through Silhouette Studio is because you can actually import these images and build your scene and print it out all in the same application. Or you can choose to import your elements and create the border around them for that cut line and actually cut these things out. I'm using the Greeting Farms Build a Living Room digital stamp set. And the first thing that I did is just drag and drop my elements onto my page. The one thing that I really love about using Silhouette Studio is that it keeps my size, and all I have to do is actually right click and bring things to the front and move them around. It's a complete drag and drop situation there. Now I created a slimline card and I wanted to make sure that I was keeping my width appropriate. So the only thing I did was change my page setting to letter, and that's it. And that way I knew that I was gonna be within the scope of 8.5 inches wide. And I literally, all of my size of everything, it stays the same as I drag it and drop it. The proportions of the images as they're drawn stays appropriate to how everything is. And other applications this isn't necessarily true, and I'm literally just dragging these into my workspace from a folder, and then I can right click and send that to the back. Well, there we go, send it back. And now I have a table peeking out behind absolutely everything, and we're going to put a lamp over here and set that on top of the table, and we're going to send that back too. But we need to actually bring this forward one to set it on top of the table. And it's just that easy to do this in Silhouette Studio, and then I can print this out. If I wanted to, I could do cut lines around all of this and cut everything out if I wanted to, but that's not what we're doing. We're actually going to print this, and then I colored this out. I dropped all of my people in here. I did the exact same thing with every single element. Just literally dragged them from a folder and dropped them into my scene. Next, let's take a look at Canva. Canva is a free online application that you can do the similar process with, but you will have to resize elements because it's not going to retain the proportional values. I am in a letterhead. This is 8.5 by 11 is the dimensions for this. And for Canva, I'm going to switch back over here. All you do is click on create a design, and this is a letter, and that's all I did to create my canvas here. Then I uploaded all of the elements for this particular set in my upload section just by dragging and dropping them here, and then I can click on them, and you'll see here that my proportions are a little different than they were in Silhouette Studio. It doesn't retain the sizing, but I can do the same things as far as creating this scene very easily and deciding where I'm going to put everything. And I can actually take and slide this down, make it a little bit smaller. See, I have the books that go on top of the coffee table, but I don't need that yet, so I'm going to delete that. Let's drop in the rug, and I want the rug to be the same size here. Pull that out a little bit. There we go. And where's my coffee table? There's my coffee table. See how big it is in proportion to everything else? So that's another way that you can do this. And then all you need to do to print this out after you finish building your scene and getting everything done, you would click download, and you want to download this as a PDF, and then you can print it off on your cardstock, however you want to do that. Google Docs, you can do this also with Google Docs. It does take a little bit more to do this. You're going to upload this from your computer, and also your sizing is not going to be retained in this. Everything is going to come in large. I'm going to reduce the size of my couch. As it stands right now, I can't just take this and move this anywhere. I have to do text, do this behind text or in front of text. I usually just do behind text, and then I can drag it and drop it anywhere in my paper that I need to. And you're gonna do the exact same thing. Insert image, upload from computer or wherever you have this stored. And this is gonna be huge. This actually goes down into the next page, and I'm going to reduce this down in size and bring this up just a shade. And then I'm also going to do this behind, and when I click this again and bring it down, it's going to automatically bring this in front of it. So I don't really have the control of doing the different layers very easily in this. You do have to be cautious of what you're moving around and what you're clicking on, because if I click on this and move it, it's going to be in front of the couch now. So now I have to move this just a shade to get that back in front. So just keep that in mind as you're working with it. But you can do the same thing in Google Docs, which is also free. These are very simple ways to utilize digital stamps. I know most of the time when you're using digital stamps, it's just one big image that you're putting on the paper, resizing and printing it out so you can color it. And whether you're fussy cutting it or maybe putting it into like a scan and cut or something like that, it doesn't, most of the time that's what we're working with. But the Greeting Farm has come up with all of these beautiful, absolutely adorable and easy and fun digital stamps that you can combine together to build a scene. And I just wanted to show you a couple different methods that you can utilize to build those scenes that are free, because Silhouette Studio is a free download and something that you can use. Even if you don't have a Silhouette, you can utilize that to print out your digital stamps very easily and manipulate them how you need to. So let's get on with the Copic coloring. A Copic coloring scene in a long time, and I wanted to use my Build a Living Room and Hello from Home sets by the Greeting Farm, and they are digital stamp sets. I built everything in Silhouette Studio and printed it out. I didn't put any markings on the paper as far as like going to cut it out or anything, because I wasn't going to do that. This is just going to be a flat panel card, and I'm just Copic coloring absolutely everything. This is sped up quite a bit because it took me about 2 hours to color the card, because it is a full scene card. There are 3 places that my camera decided that it was going to cut out, but it wasn't the quote important parts that I wanted to show you anyway. The really important parts that I wanted to show you are the hair and the background, creating that background that I wanted to do. And those are perfectly intact. So I'm going to play a little bit of music as we go through for some of the less important parts of the card, and then I will come back and talk about coloring. I am doing a little bit darker skin tone on this little dude, and I'm using a V15 for my shadows and E30s for his skin tone. So he's going to be a little bit darker, really tan from this summer hanging out. And as you can see, that V15, that purple color really blends out very easily under these browns. If you want to use a V color, it is more natural to a skin tone, and play around with it because Copics are translucent. You can see through them, so layering your different colors on top of each other are easy to do, and you can test them out and see how they look and create your own palette of skin tones that you like. That's one thing about Copic coloring, is I really think that there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's all about how you feel comfortable doing it and how you like it brings you joy to Copic color. I wanted purple hair because I like purple hair. I love purple hair. And I did this with a couple of different colors. I went with a BV08, and then this is a B69, and this is a really juicy marker, so I pulled the end of it off so it wouldn't bloop all over my paper. I pulled the other cap out. And I'm going over top of those, and I'm coloring, as you can see, from the darker places in towards the center of the hair. Then I take a V, I think this is an 04, and colored in so it looks like there's a highlight more in the top, in the center, and the areas where the hair is all tucked in and pulled together is a lot lighter. I also left white in there as a really, really bright highlight. For this dude, I'm doing black hair on him, so I started out with my 100, and I'm just doing flicks in different areas where his hair is. Don't be afraid to turn your paper so that your hand is in a comfortable position as you're coloring. I colored in the exact way of from the tips to the center to that like crown halo on top of his head. That's kind of like where my light source is coming from here. It's not very pronounced, it's just that that's where the light source is. If you wanted to get really fancy with this, you could make it look like the lamp that's on the side table is their hair. Is glowing against their hair and around the room and the light source. But I didn't get that fancy about it because I wanted to have fun and enjoy doing this process, and putting in those light sources and everything just kind of makes me stressed out. So I don't do that. If I have something that I want to have a specific light source in, then I will actually put a yellow sticky note in the top corner or wherever that light source is coming from, so that I have that in my mind forefront. But that's not something I really wanted to focus on this, because this is a whole great big huge busy scene. All we really needed to do was create that lighting effect where there's a difference in the hair color there, and so it's not flat looking. So I'm going to play a little bit of music until I get to the background, where I'm creating some paneling in the background and creating the carpet there. So just sit back and relax and enjoy the Copic coloring. So we're going to create our background, and I found the place where the floor meets the wall. And that was just kind of that horizon point there. I used the bottom of the bookshelf as my horizon point, and it's just slightly a little bit above that, and it's that bottom dark line. And then I literally just took a pencil and a ruler and went straight across and did different widths of paneling across there. Then I took a W9 and traced over that line for those boards, and just really thin line across there. And then I'm going to take a W7 and then a much lighter W3 and blend all of that out, so I get this really warm paneling look back there that's not the traditional up and down paneling. Instead, it's these long lines that actually makes the card look a lot longer than it is, but it also brings in a lot of texture and just some neutral color in the background. I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but I've kept the tones of the card, other than her clothing and her hair, very, very, very neutral and earthy tones, because for a long time that was kind of like what my house and me looked like. I had this great big huge purple hair, wore a lot of loud colors, but my house was pretty neutral. So it was a lot of fun. It was just that juxtapose of different styles and colors there. So that's a lot of fun, and I kind of wanted to create that here a little bit. And like I said, I'm just going over this. If you notice right here, this is the W3, and it really washes out the dark part of this, which is what I wanted to do. And I'm just going back in and filling in all the little areas, and it just gave this a lot of texture and a lot of warmth. And I realized that I forgot to color in the dark areas and like the shadow part of my inside of my bookcase here. So I'm going and doing that right now, and then I will go back and fill in with the W3. And that's one thing that I really love about Copic markers, is it's pretty forgiving about everything. You can wash stuff out and blend stuff back and layer color on top of color and really get what you want here. I could have gone back with an even lighter color and washed this back a little bit more, but still had that detail in there. I did not want this to look like wood. I wanted it to look like it was a stressed paneling with those edges there and that kind of thing. So that's what I got, and that's what I wanted it to look like. And then for the floor, I will do just a solid color. I'm not putting any texture in it. I actually did, I think, an E11, no, much lighter than that. I think I did E00 on the carpet, just to have that warmth there for everything to be grounded, but I didn't do any texture in it. I took the chisel tip and coated everything in one coat, and then went back over it in the other direction for it to smooth out. No texture whatsoever, no different colors, because there's so much else going on in this card. I had to stop and actually refill this marker because it had started to run out. So I stopped and did that and added some ink to it and refilled it. And that's the background. And now I'm going to go ahead and finish out this card and finish playing music, and y'all sit back and relax. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoy our Copic scene card.